Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jill, otherwise known as the Enlightened Target, and this channel is devoted to narcissistic abuse awareness and recovery, parental alienation, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and anything and everything associated with those three main topics. In today's video, we are going to revisit the topic of the aging narcissist, as I get the most emails asking questions about this specific topic and explain how it becomes increasingly difficult for them to get people to believe they're manipulated in false versions of history and reality that makes them into the hero, the victim, or the martyr, which, by the way, they are dependent on people accepting, because this keeps the narcissist's true self that feels deeply flawed and inferior from being triggered and keeps this phony facade alive, which in turn supplies the narcissist with tons and tons of narcissistic supply. At a basic level, all narcissists are dependent on others, accepting their version of reality that makes them into the hero, the victim, or the martyr, or some combination of all three. And as they age, it becomes more and more difficult to be able to pull this off, which in turn threatens the narcissist's ability to extract supply. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I would like to invite you to please subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because I put out new videos every week. Also, if you are interested in private one-on-one narcissistic abuse recovery coaching with me or group coaching on Sundays, please visit my website or send me an email. Both are linked in the description below. So today we are talking about the aging narcissist and how it becomes increasingly difficult for them to get people to accept their versions of reality that make them into the hero, the victim, or the martyr. One reason is because many times the narcissists utilize just flat out denial to avoid the reality of what they have done or what has happened because of their behavior. Any negative situation that happens in the life of a narcissist, specifically if it is something that they are responsible for, they're going to rewrite the narrative in order to make them the hero, the victim, or the martyr, or some combination of the three. So let's say they own a business and they ended up going bankrupt because they bought too much inventory in an effort to show off and flaunt how much money they have, but could not survive because financially they couldn't afford it. They would then rewrite the narrative of what happened to suit them. So they might say, oh, I bought all that inventory because the vendor I was buying it from was going broke and he needed the money to pay for his home or mortgage, or else they were going to be homeless, and I have known them for years and I certainly couldn't let them become homeless. Or they might say, well, I ordered all of that inventory based on what so-and-so told me to buy. It's not my fault, it's so-and-so's fault because they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're talking about, and now I am the poor pitiful victim of so-and-so's stupidity. But one thing is for certain, anything negative that they are responsible for, they will rewrite the narrative to put them into the character of the hero, the victim, or the martyr, or some combination of the three. And when they are young and fresh, that's really not terribly difficult for them to do. However, as they age, these versions of reality become more bizarre and much more harder for others to believe or accept as truth. As we all know, narcissists are addicted to and dependent on obtaining narcissistic supply. And as I mentioned, anytime anything happens that is negatively associated with their behavior, they must rewrite the narrative into a story that portrays them as the victim, the martyr, or the hero. However, at a certain point, no amount of gaslighting or victim blaming or denial or blame shifting or projection or deflection or word salad can hide the fact that what they are saying about themselves, this narrative that they are trying to force on us, makes absolutely no sense, isn't based in reality and is clearly delusional, which, by the way, in turn will infuriate the narcissist. This is one of the reasons a narcissist's abusive behavior gets so much worse as they age. It's becoming increasingly difficult to get other people to indulge the narcissist in this phony reality they want everyone to accept without question. And that seriously threatens their ability to obtain narcissistic supply, which they are addicted to and desperately need. They do not like having to readjust what levels of narcissistic supply are necessary to keep them happy. So as they age, the nonsense coming out of their mouths gets more and more difficult for others to accept. They feel incredibly vulnerable and can even become quite desperate, utilizing different tactics to try and extract narcissistic supply, as well as this threat triggers the narcissist's underlying true self, which feels deeply flawed and inferior, triggering more frequent and more intense abuse episodes. So whatever is their go-to abuse tactic they utilize in order to emotionally regulate themselves, whether that be rage, the silent treatment, disappearing acts, you can expect to get much worse as they age. In closing, all narcissists are dependent in many ways for other people to accept rewritten versions of reality that puts them into one of three characters. Remember, the hero, the victim, or the martyr. However, as they get older, this gets more and more and more difficult for them to accomplish as their stories get more paranoid, more bizarre, and much, much more difficult for them to get other people to believe. This is one of the reasons that narcissists get so much worse as they age, specifically in old age. This inability that they have to get people on board with their phony rewritten realities threatens their ability to gain narcissistic supply, and that can cause some very desperate and quite pathetic behaviors to rear their ugly heads because, as we all know, narcissists are dependent on obtaining narcissistic supply. Another point that I think is so important to make here is many times the narcissist actually believes their rewritten versions of reality. Typically, once they find the right version that suits them, they will hang on to it for dear life. They have always had delusional thinking. However, as they age, this delusional thinking gets much, much worse, more bizarre, and because of that, other people are unable to deny or accept this version as truth. Okay, that's going to do it for today's video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Also, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. The links are in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone.